Hi everybody, my name is Ryan, and in this video I'm going to show you a couple of new HTML5 elements, specifically block elements. So if we look at the coding, you'll see some new tags: the header tag, the nav tag, section tag, figure tag, fig caption, aside, article, and footer. Okay, so we did a lesson earlier on divs, and we learned that a div is a division. It's a large block container. Usually we can put a lot of paragraphs into those block containers. And a lot of websites are built using divs. So we put the header as a div, and the footer as a div, and the navigation as a div. And these tags are exactly the same as divs. They are just labeled differently. So think of header as a div, think of nav as a div, section as a div, and so on. The idea is that they just provide a little bit more meaning to our coding. So we can quite clearly see that this is the header section, this is the navigation section, and so on. So let's quickly talk through all of these tags. So the header is just telling us that this is the header section. Normally we would have an H1 in here, maybe some images, a logo, and so on, all together inside the header section. Then the nav section is for the navigation bar. Usually this is built using an unordered list. The section and article tags are very similar to one another, and there's no rule that says a section has to come before an article or an article has to come before a section. There's no rule to even say that they have to be nested. So you could use a section tag completely separately from an article tag. You could nest them if you want them to. So you could, in my example, I've got one big section and I've got multiple things inside the section. I could have multiple articles in the section, for example. My article could also contain a section. So the idea is that you can mix and match these tags as you like. They're not strict as, for example, a table and a TR and a TD have to go in a certain order. These tags can be used anywhere, in any order. Just think of them as div tags that provide a little bit more meaning to your code. So let's look at the example of a figure. Now you know already what an IMG tag does, an image tag. It puts an image on the page. Well, a figure just gives us the option to provide a caption beneath the image using the fig caption tag. So if we look at what this looks like, you can see I've got a picture of George Bush. The figure tag has actually indented the image from the margin. So it's got a margin, a left margin, and it's also placed the caption beneath it. Of course, we can style this differently if we want to. That's quite a nice feature. So if you want to give captions to your images, an ideal way of doing that is to surround the entire thing using a figure tag and then add a fig caption beneath the image. Then an aside, some websites would have a small bar on the side. So if we look at my editor, for example, the black area could be an example of an aside. It's just a small sidebar on the website. Okay, just once again, think of it as a div. And then our article, it's just giving more meaning to the fact that this is an article. And then our footer, very much the same as the header. This could also have been a div, but in this case we're just giving more meaning to it, and people can see quite clearly that this is in fact a footer. Okay, so it also helps with the styling as well, because now in the CSS I can just create a header instead of creating an ID, and then put a background color. Okay, for my nav bar I could do the same thing. It just becomes easier to style everything. Obviously some JavaScript will be used to turn this into a nav bar. I could do the same with my article. And then the same with the footer. Maybe put some padding on there. Let's actually do 10 all the way around. And you get the idea. So if you wanted your side, for example, to float, we could give it a width just like we did with the div and tell it to float to the left. And you get the idea. Just like we did with divs, we're building our website, but instead of using divs now, we're using tags that have a little bit more meaning to them. You can still use divs. There's nothing wrong with using divs. But I'm sure you'll agree, these just provide a little bit more meaning to our markup. So that brings us to the end of looking at some of the new HTML5 block elements.